Weapons for the whole family at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
William Byron took advantage when his teammate Kyle Larson and Trackhouse Racing's Ross Chastain tangled in the final circuits to navigate the number 24 car to victory at Darlington Raceway in Sunday's NASCAR Cup Series Goodyear 400. In the process, Byron collected the 100th win for the iconic Kendrick Motorsports Chevrolet team, sporting livery from Jeff Gordon's 1998 50th anniversary All-Star race run.
Yeah, it's really cool. I mean, we've had some amazing throwback schemes over the years, thanks to Exalta. This one definitely takes the cake. It's in victory lane, so we finally got one that worked out our way, and just pretty amazing what all happened there to go our way, and just thankful.
I'm Susie Armstrong. This is NASCAR Today on the Motor Racing Network.
What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. I overdosed on heroin, and I lived. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. My desire to change had finally outweighed my desire to stay the same. I felt powerless for so much of my life. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. For the first time, I finally feel like I'm exactly where I should be, where I want to be.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Your home to the NFL. WGSX Lynn Haven. WVLQ Port St. Joe. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Are you ready? Okay, let's begin.
Trip. The Afternoon Underdog Trip. Live and local. Inside the Doghouse.
Unleash the Dragon.
On the Sports Talk Monster. ESPN Northwest Florida.
What's going on, Northwest Florida? Hope you guys are ready for another week of Sports Talk with the Afternoon Underdogs. You are now in the Doghouse, and you're tuned in to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're on 104.3 here in Panama City and 101.9 in Port St. Joe. It's ESPN Northwest Florida. We're the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes along with Bone Crusher on the ones and twos, and it is now time to open up the registration for fantasy football. So how this works, we've got two first come, first serve leagues. So right now, you would text your name and your email, and that you're available August 26th at 11 a.m. out there at Dave & Buster's for our live fantasy football draft. So of the utmost importance is that you're available to be out there at Dave & Buster's August 26th at 11 a.m. And you text 850-215-6290. Right now, we have the Champions League. I'll tell you who's going to be playing in the Champions League, how that works is the top four from each and every one of our fantasy football leagues. If we have enough participation, enough entries coming in, I will open it up to another league, which will have us at a total of 4 leagues, which would then turn the Champions League into a 16-team league. And I just want to make it tough as can be to come away winning the championship league. I don't know if you guys can see or not today, but I will manipulate the trophy. We haven't given these away yet. We'll be giving these away on draft day. These are for first place of the league. It's actually supposed to have a little football right here. It had a little accident, and so now I just he's got a little holder there for the football, but that's a beautiful trophy provided by Dave & Buster's, and we'll be giving that to first place of each of the leagues. And then if you finished in last place, and I'll be announcing you guys here in just a few short moments, you'll be getting the tail end of the horse. The rear end of the horse is what you'll be getting. So we've got these sweet trophies along with some other gift cards and stuff. I haven't figured out what the prize package is going to be for this upcoming season, but we will be getting our winners their trophies when we see them out there at Dave & Buster's. So 850-215-6290. Let's pack it out. Let's have another great year. I really want to see a new league evolve here. Why, you might ask? Well, last year we had the North League, the South League. We had one 102.1 league and then the one 104.3 league. But right now we're not with 102.1 isn't on the air. So I want to change it up, and we're going to name one of the leagues the Inside Drive League, and we're going to name one of the other ones the Afternoon Underdogs League. If we get if we're busting at the seams and we have another one, it's going to be the Coach James Hale League, and I'm going to get Coach James Hale. Right. That makes you want to say, woo! I'm going to try to get Coach James Hale to be playing some fantasy football this year. Oh, yeah. Can't wait for it. I'm so excited about it. We've got our date set for the live draft out there. Dave & Buster's, remember, August 26th at 11 a.m. It's going to be a lot of fun. This year, I'm not going to be running one of the drafts, so I'm going to be able to bounce around and meet everyone and just talk some fantasy football with you guys. It's going to be great. Amanda Muller's going to be out there with us again, and she might even, if she texts in, she might be a part of the league as well. We've got your next opportunity to play the Blast at Bay Point. That's right. ESPN Northwest Florida is always giving you guys opportunities to win some great stuff. Every Monday, we announce a new number to play some high-low. And you and a guest could win 18 holes at the legendary Bay Point Golf Club in beautiful Panama City Beach. You got to listen weekdays at 8:40 in the morning on the Coach James Hale Show, 12:40 in the afternoon on the Ryan Mulvey Show, on the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey and Jay Henley's back, and then 5:40 right here with the Afternoon Underdogs to play a little high-low. So when you hear that cue to call, be caller number 10, 850-215-6290. If you get the number correctly, you and a guest win 18 holes at Bay Point Golf Club. If you don't, you still win stuff here, provided that you haven't won the consolation prize yet. You will be getting a large bag of range balls there for the driving range at Bay Point Golf Club. Woo! I love it. So make sure you guys are tuned in. Just keep it locked in. Keep your radio on 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida at all times. And if you're out of your car, then go get the app. Go to your Apple App Store. Go to your Google Play Store. Type in 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. And boom, hit the download button. Sign up, register, all that good stuff. And it's a great app to take us with you wherever you go. We're streaming live today on Facebook and on YouTube, all at ESPN Northwest Florida, and you can call and text throughout the show today at 850-215-6290. Brian has some work obligations, so he's doing some, I think they're traveling right now. I can't remember. I want to say it's to Huntsville, maybe Nashville, but they have a swimming competition up there. And so I wonder if he had to end up riding the bus, because I know he said he was going to be pacing the bus, like driving in front of it. But I wonder if he ended up having to get on the bus with him. That would be great stuff for Ryan. Today we've got RJ Starcevic on the line with us at 4:20. We're going to be talking to him about NASCAR, what's going on with Kyle Larson and Denny Hamlin after their little episode or incident, rather, that they had yesterday at Pocono with a great win by my guy, Denny Hamlin. 4:40, we're going to open up the phone lines for some traffic jam and trivia. At 5 o'clock, AP rider covering the Tennessee Titans and other Nashville, Tennessee-based sports, Teresa Walker, is going to be joining us at the top of hour number 2 to discuss the Titans, Dalvin Cook, and some other things. If you have any questions you'd like me to ask Teresa, 850-215-6290. And then at 5:20, as always on Mondays, Todd Mueller and PCB Hobby will be joining us. We'll be keeping you up to date for the PCB Hobby Takeover, and we'll wrap up your Monday afternoon with a little bit of local. Caveman Rick says, did you already mention all the people in the Champions League? No, I have not. I was just kind of giving you guys a little bit of time to get to the phone lines. We're already starting to see them ring in here. So if you want to play, make sure that you're available for August 26th, 11 a.m., and that you're texting your name and your email to 850-215-6290. And then after the show, either tonight or tomorrow, I'll send you an invite. We'll get these leagues filled up. They're 12-team leagues. It's PPR. Outside of that, everything is just as traditional as it gets. I don't do any manipulating like that of like rules and stuff. I just try to keep it to where when you're watching football all day Sunday, and you're seeing the scores roll across the ticker there for ESPN or whatever it is that you're watching, and you're seeing their yards, their receptions, you could calculate it yourself right there and know what your fantasy score, or at least a pretty close estimate of what your fantasy football score is going to be looking like. All right, so we'll go over the champions from each league. The championship league, or the Champions League last year, in first place was Gator Jamie. So Gator Jamie is going to be getting the head of the horse, the head horseman here, if you will. Last place in the championship league, in the Champions League, was Anthony Colon. If he doesn't, if these guys don't end up showing up to the next live draft, and I'll give it to 11th place instead, and that will be our very own Sam Peeble. So Anthony, if you're out there listening, you want to play fantasy football again, go ahead and text over. But Sam, you better, because I want to make sure that I can get you some type of close to last place prize there. In the South League, it was first place Tim Reed. He'll be moving on to the Champions League. And in last place, it was again another one of our very own here, Boston Tim. So I'll make sure Boston Tim gets the tail of the horse here. And in the North League, first place was Dalton Cope. And in last place, another one of our very own, Tyler Bishop, who joins me here on Tuesdays. So I'll let you guys vote on this. We can either give it to them when we're out there at Dave & Buster's and make a big hoopla out of that, or we can give it to them live here on the air. In fact, when I was going through the leagues, I had forgotten that it was Tyler that was finishing up last in the North League. So the full Champions League roster but all of the managers, you're going to have Gator Jamie, who was Eastside Trash last year, CC which is Ryan Mulvey, host of the Inside Drive. You had Teamy, I forget what it was, but Ethan Hewitt was Teamy McFootball, I believe it was. Callaway Caveman with Caveman Rick. Those are all your top four representatives of the Champions League. In the North League, representing us on Fridays, it's Adam Goff. He's also going to be moving along with Going Allen, who is Dalton Cope, Alabama Rednecks, which is Nick Baldwin, and Second to None, which is Mark McLeod. Not Mark McLeod that you hear on the Coach James Hale Show on Wednesdays when he's talking about the Florida Gators, but a buddy of mine named Mark McLeod. In the South League, it was Luck Ran Out, which is Tim Reed. You had Sports Team, which is Felipe. You had Team 13, which is Chris Purser, and you had the Bills Mafia, which is James Leahy. So congratulations to all of you who's going to be moving on to the Champions League for fantasy football. All you got to do to sign up now, 850-215-6290. Shoot me that text and we'll get you signed up. Just make sure that you're available for August 26th at 11 a.m. out there at Dave & Buster's. We've got 32 days and 19 hours until college football, and we've got 45 days until the NFL. So we are approaching swiftly. Don't forget to go to my Facebook page. Scroll down till you see the GOAT of GOATs voting for sports movies. We're going to be announcing the results this Wednesday out there at Dave & Buster's. So you don't want to miss your opportunity to vote. And then we'll be into our final two, our championship matchup of the GOAT of GOATs for sports movies. You had the Open Championship this last weekend, and representing the University of Georgia, Brian Harmon cruises to win the Open Championship. It was boring to watch because I like to see these final rounds kind of go down to the wire, and then you see Rahm and even McElroy getting up there in the second place, and they were getting closer, but never really closer than 4 strokes, and he just ran away with it. Every time they would get close, he would settle down, hit a great shot. It seemed like he was 100% from the fairways and 75% for greens in regulation, but it was a great tournament for him. He was 36. He'd never won a major, and he hadn't won any tournament in more than 6 years. He won 2 events all the way back in 2014 and in 2017. He won roughly, now this is where it gets crazy. A guy hasn't won in 6 years, but he's won roughly $29 million in prize money over the course of his 11 years on the tour. He finished tied for second at the 2017 U.S. Open, tied for sixth at last year's British Open, but then he missed the cut at the first two majors of this season. And I think one of the most impressive feats of it all was that he only made 6 bogeys all week. So congratulations to Brian Harman getting it done and winning the final major of the year to receive the coveted Claret Jug. And if you want to hear more about that, make sure you're tuned in to the Inside Drive weekdays from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. as they do a great job covering the sport of golf, sports in general, but definitely when it comes to golf, I can't even hold a candle to those guys. And then on Wednesdays, you get Keith Fleming for an hour, or for 2 segments, basically 40 minutes. And man, if you were listening to him this last weekend, you would have won a lot of money with the daily fantasy sports, because he was very high. He was very high on Brian Harman, though. So, all right, wide receiver Kadarius Toney. We're getting a lot of text in, guys, so make sure if you want to play fantasy football, you're shooting a text our way now. Wide receiver Kadarius Toney's going to be missing some practice time. He was injured over the weekend at training camp, but he's expected to be ready for the start of the regular season. He aggravated an injury to his knee on Sunday. So that's good news for Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs wide receiving core. Not a lot of depth at the wide receiving core this year. Got some young guns that they're expecting to explode, but we'll see how it works out for Kadarius Toney to kind of become that. I don't know if he's big enough to be a number 1 threat for that Chiefs offense, but then again, if you think about it, Tyreek Hill's not a big-bodied guy either, and he worked out very well. So maybe Kadarius Toney can kind of slide a little bit deeper into that Tyreek Hill position. An MRI, this was a scary situation that happened. Detroit Lions defensive back C.J. Gardner-Johnson, he had an MRI on the right knee. Luckily, it showed no structural damage. He's considered day-to-day. That's according to ESPN's Field Yates. He said that this afternoon, or this morning rather. And this is a guy I thought was a great pickup from the Detroit Lions. He played with the Philadelphia Eagles last year. He was with the Saints. I believe he was with the Saints at the beginning of last season. If not, then I'm confusing my seasons by just 1 year here, but he's a dog. I mean, you know, defensive backs definitely got to have a little ego when it comes to the way that they talk on the field, the way that they play on the field as well. I thought that this was a huge pickup by the Lions. I think he fits that Dan Campbell system so well, and he's going to be a dog for the Lions. So hopefully nothing is too serious there, and nothing's lasting, because it's, with the MRI showing no structural damage, that's a good sign. He was carted off the practice field, though. And this all happened during a team drill, and it seemed to be light contact, but he couldn't put pressure on his right leg, and then he was carted off. And then also, Nyheim Hines, running back for the Buffalo Bills, he was traded over to the Bills for Zach Moss, who is a running back for the Buffalo Bills last year, and he will be missing the entire season. Injury to his left ACL. He was not at the team facility. He wasn't doing anything football related. He sustained the injury being struck by a jet ski, and he is going to be having some surgery at some point. He was sitting stationary on the jet ski when he was struck, but no life-threatening injuries, which is the good sign there. In the Bills running back room, I don't know. I was interested, or at least intrigued, after seeing this. And, you know, the big news is that there's no life-threatening injuries. It looks like he'll just miss a year. But I was like, oh, are the Bills going to go out now and get James Cook's brother, Dalvin Cook? But when I look at the running back room and see James Cook, Damian Harris, and Latavius Murray, I don't know if the money is going to be worth it, especially with what's going on with the contracts for running backs in the NFL at this current point. So that is something to kind of monitor who's going to step up into that more pass-catching role. I think that's going to be James Cook. I would not be surprised at all to see Damian Harris end up being the lead back this year for the Bills. But, hey, he split a lot of time with Ramondre Stevenson last year, so it could end up being Latavius Murray, Damian Harris, and James Cook all running back by committee. And I know we're getting all amped up for football, for college football, pro football, all of that good stuff. But the battle of the Blue Bloods in college basketball, Kansas and North Carolina have announced that they're going to have a two-game home-and-home series. That's going to be starting in 2024. The first game is going to be on November 8th, 2024 in Lawrence, Kansas. And the next game is just going to be a year later, November 14th, 2025 in Chapel Hill. It's going to be the second time the two teams have played at Allen Fieldhouse there in Kansas, and it's going to be the first time ever meeting in the Dean Smith Center. The all-time head-to-head series between both teams is tied at 6, and Kansas has won the last 4 meetings. And there's a lot of ties between these two schools. 3 Hall of Fame coaches have represented both of these schools. You had Dean Smith, who played for the 1952 National Championship Kansas basketball team, and then he coached for 36 years at North Carolina. You also had Larry Brown, who played for and was an assistant under Dean Smith there at North Carolina. And he later coached 5 seasons in Kansas, winning the 1988 National Championship. And I think one of the more notable links is Roy Williams, who coached for 14 seasons at Kansas before leaving for North Carolina, where he coached for 18 seasons. He went to the Final Four with Kansas and won 3 national championships with the Tar Heels. So Roy Williams will more than likely be at both of those games. And then in other news, back to the NFL quickly here, Las Vegas Raiders quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo expected to be available for the beginning of training camp this week. He passed his physical Sunday earlier this year after being traded. He did not pass that physical. So this is big news for the Raiders, because if not, you're either going with Aiden O'Connell, and I think the only person that would want to hear that might be Josh Jacobs. And honestly, with the amount that Josh Jacobs is going to be getting paid compared to what he wants to be getting paid, maybe he just won't be wanting to run that much. It might even fake a daggum injury. We'll have to see how all of that plays out. If Josh Jacobs even decides to sign that franchise tag. If not, you could see 2 prominent running backs in the NFL this year, and Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs sit out in just to try to get a little bit more money for that contract, which I don't think is going to work. And I also think that when you do that, you're going to get a situation very similar to Le'Veon Bell. And even look at Zeke when he was in Cabo. The guy set out for a little while, played the season, but never looked the same again after that. All right, we're going to take a break. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. When we return, we're going to go around the track with RJ Starcevic.
ESPN Northwest Florida presents the Blasted Bay Point.
We talked to Alan Watson at Golf Plus, and the new TaylorMade GTX putter has been flying off the shelf. How many have they sold thus far?
I'm going to go with 91.
That is too high.
Keep listening to win the Blasted Bay Point on ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida this Monday. The remainder of the day, a possibility of thunderstorms and some sun, and 85 with a gentle breeze coming out of the southwest at 11 miles per hour. Tonight, mostly clear skies with lows around 80. Tomorrow, mostly sunny and a temperature near 89. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
Chuck was terrible at fishing.
He spent many frustrating hours attempting to get results he saw from internet videos, aggravating trial and error fishing trips, and misguided advice from well-intended friends. Chuck is happy now with his newfound success after he visited Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, where we keep fishing fun, simple, and successful. See us soon at Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, located directly off Highway 98 on the west end of Panama City Beach.
Takes the latest trades, in-depth interviews.
That is my reaction.
We break it down for you right here.
Very big springboard for the rest of my career.
The Afternoon Underdogs.
That's the problem right there.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. It's the Afternoon Underdogs. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida, and there's double red flags out there. So unless you're on a surfboard, tethered to that surfboard, or anything else, don't go swimming in the water, or else you're going to end up catching a fine along the way, and that's just not fun. And if you'd like to live, I would, definitely stay out of those waters there with double red flags out here, Panama City Beach. Now, let's go around the track with RJ Starcevic. He is the host and creator of the NASCAR Report on Instagram. RJ, what's going on?
Nothing much, guys. Nothing much. How about you? I know he's talking about the little bit of the weather going on here in Florida. That's for sure. It's a little dark outside.
Do y'all have double red flag rules down there in Tampa? I can't remember from when I lived in St. Pete.
I have no idea, but I did hear about the double red flag up in Panama City.
Yeah.
As far as here, it's not a term I've heard too often, but I feel like it's all around Florida, I would assume, but who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, some people in Florida are just like, who cares? We're going.
Florida man, baby. Florida man. But great race up there at Pocono yesterday. Got a little drama going. We'll dive into the drama in a second after your recap of who grabbed the checker flag yesterday at Pocono.
Yeah, definitely a little drama at the end of the race, but it started out as a pretty tame race for the most part. As we always go to Pocono, there's always strategy that unfolds, whether it's fuel mileage, tire mileage, especially with the stages we have now, allowing people to kind of create their own strategy with the scheduled cautions that we have at the end of stage 1 and stage 2. But for the most part, we kind of saw a majority of the same cars up front throughout the race. Martin Truex Jr. had a pretty fast Toyota for the second week in a row. Denny Hamlin was right up there in the conversation as well as Kyle Larson and William Byron, who started on pole but kind of faded back throughout as the race went on. So we came to the end, and it was time for some strategy to, unfold. And we had Kyle Larson, who had cycled to the front. They had spun out earlier, gotten spun by Christopher Bell entering the corner, which kind of put them in an alternate strategy, which ended up putting them to the front once it all cycled out. So Kyle Larson's up there, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., and as you guys know, as we're going to talk about here on the show, Denny Hamlin used him up on that restart, on one of those final restarts, and Larson went all the way up the track into the wall. Basically, almost an instant replay of kind of what happened last year between Hamlin and Chastain, but something that we kind of expected that one last year. We knew with the rivalry between Hamlin and Ross, you knew Hamlin wasn't going to cut him any slack. We kind of expected that one, maybe not so much this year. Especially, we know they have a relationship off the track and that they're good friends. But this isn't the first time we've seen them tangle this year, ironically. So that definitely caused some waves throughout the internet world and the NASCAR world, as Kyle Larson wasn't able to get the victory. I can't remember where exactly he finished, but it wasn't first place like he had hoped, as he had led a good amount of that last part of that race. Martin Truex Jr. ended up getting third. I think Tyler Reddick ended up slotting into second, which is crazy after how his race had gone from the back to the front to the back to the front. But ultimately, Denny Hamlin, your guy, David, ends up getting the victory at Pocono this year. Finally gets it. Last year they took it away from him in inspection. This year, inspection was all good. Hamlin's got the victory in that new Mavis Brakes car and that little teal scheme. We're not used to seeing that, but I think it looks pretty sporty.
Yeah, it was definitely different, especially when you first tune in and, let's say you don't see the number 11 on there as quick as maybe you do on the purple car, on the FedEx car, all that good stuff. But so it took a few moments for me to get used to that. And before we get into, the finish and Ryan Preece being down there near the apron, all that good stuff, but who was in the wrong here with this Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin? I mean, it's got the internet talking maybe even more so than when it was Ross Chastain and Noah Gregson, you know what I mean? So who, in your opinion, just watching the move, was in the wrong?
Yeah, I mean, we look at last year. There were two separate moves. We look at last year, Hamlin and Ross, and we kind of, going into that restart, we were like, you know what? That's kind of what we're expecting here. I expected Hamlin to run Ross Chastain to the wall. I think whether you were a Ross Chastain fan or a Denny Hamlin fan, and that's what happened. And then so far this year, in this race, it wasn't like a premeditated thing. I think the only time they had kind of collided this year was at Kansas, that finish, where they collided on the back straightaway, racing hard for the win, and no one really knew where to put the blame there. But this year, yeah, Hamlin was definitely being aggressive on the restart. I mean, I heard a post-race interview from Truex actually this morning that I didn't hear yesterday, saying that, hey, Hamlin was just more aggressive than I was on the restart and did that move, and that won him the race. And so I think definitely I don't think Larson obviously did anything wrong being on the outside, and I think Hamlin just knew that was going to be the final restart. And with these cars, being so hard to pass with these next-gen cars, they are taking advantage of any possible opportunity they have to make that move. And so Hamlin is a guy that is not going to be shy of being aggressive, and he definitely was going to use all the racing room he had and more. And then, that resulted in Larson getting into the wall. So, I mean, it wasn't the dirtiest move I think that it could have ever been, but I think it was just a result of final restart. These guys know that it's super hard to pass, and Hamlin was going to be super aggressive going into the restart. And he just decided, hey, I'm gonna pick this inside, and I'm gonna use all this room that I have.
Moving forward, do you think that we see Kyle Larson racing Denny more aggressively?
I could see it. I mean, we know Larson races aggressively. We know when things like this happen, at least that I've noticed, that Larson doesn't, he doesn't go and fight anybody afterwards, and he doesn't, go crazy on whether it's social media or in his interviews. I mean, he had a pretty heated interview, I'd say, but not as heated as some other drivers would probably be if they were in that same position. He kind of takes it very nonchalantly is kind of what I noticed from Kyle Larson. But on the racetrack, I know when that helmet's on, he's definitely a totally different person, I feel like, than he is out of the race car. And so I think he even said in the interview, I think he's going to race them differently, and we're going to see them go head-to-head throughout the rest of the season. It's just like last year when we saw Hamlin and Chastain. They were both cars that run up at the front every single week. Kyle Larson and Hamlin are both cars that run up at the front every single week. So I think that as we get down to the stretch, especially as we approach the playoffs, and especially once we get into the playoffs when stakes are even higher, and they possibly battling for a win down the road, I think you're going to see, Larson race him a little differently.
You mentioned, the same, pretty close, a pretty similar situation between Ross and Denny last year. What if that was Ross this year? Do you think? I mean, we've already seen him kind of explode there, as I mentioned earlier, with Noah Gregson. Well, what if that was this year with Ross Chastain and Denny Hamlin?
I don't know. I definitely feel like he might not have taken it like he did last year, because I feel like last year he just took it, came out of the care center and was like, well, yeah, it happened, blah, 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 thanks to the partners, had a fast car today, because he expected it, and he knew he had wrecked Hamlin a few times before that, and he knew that it was probably coming. Hamlin had already stated publicly that he was going to get him. And so we got him. And so obviously, a lot of drivers would be mad in that situation. I'm sure he was mad. But, ultimately he probably looked at a big picture and was like, you know what, we've been having this feud on and off. I've kind of hit him a few times. He said he's going to get me. He probably had enough time to sit there and expect it. To whereas this year, I feel like if that happened to him, it wouldn't have been to say they haven't really been feuding this year at all. They haven't had any run-ins, and so he probably wouldn't have expected it, wouldn't have taken it. Just like Kyle Larson. I mean, I'm sure Kyle Larson did not expect at all really to be, ran into the wall on that restart. Figured him and Hamlin were going to, race real clean, race, real respectfully, and he ended up getting to the wall, so probably caught him off guard, got him upset. He ran into him, went over there under caution and ran into his left side, and maybe, I don't know, like I said, I can't remember exactly where he ended up, but wasn't first place like he liked, and Hamlin was able to pull away on that final restart, which I'm sure we're going to talk about here, that caution that was thrown on that final lap.
Absolutely. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're chatting with RJ Starcevic. He's a contributor for TobyChristie.com. So I guess I'll preface it like this. Why was the crowd booing when Denny Hamlin got out of his car, or actually just got the checkered flag, or the combined yellow checker flag?
Well, I think they were booing for a few reasons. Well, number one is, a lot of the crowd is going to be fans of Kyle Larson. They're going to favorite Kyle Larson more than Hamlin. Hamlin gets booed a little bit in driver intros anyways, but once they had seen kind of how that finish went, hitting one of their favorites, Kyle Larson, to the wall, that's all it's going to take. When Hamlin wrecked Chase Elliott at Martinsville, the crowd reacted the same exact way. And so, when Hamlin and Bowman had their run-in at Martinsville, the crowd reacted to Hamlin a lot a few years ago when that went on. So the crowd's going to favorite Hendrick driver, I would say, over Denny Hamlin for sure. And the way that finish went, they didn't like it. And I also think the way the race finished as well. A lot of people in the crowd, I think, were mostly booing because of that move. I think people at home were booing because, we saw Ryan Preece crash in the backstretch, 10, 15, even maybe 20 seconds before that white flag was thrown, and they did not throw the caution flag in that final lap. So obviously, I think with the president, I think we saw it at a crash at the beginning of the race that exact same way, caution thrown right in that same straightaway. It definitely was odd to see that, crash where I'm like, oh, caution, we're going to get another overtime restart here. Caution's not thrown. So, either way, I think Denny Hamlin would have had the advantage going into the finish anyways. Would have been tough to beat him on those restarts, especially with how aggressive he was being. It didn't seem like Martin Truex Jr. could fire off as well, as there was a big gap coming to that white flag. Obviously, Hamlin had a pretty good gap on Truex, but I think it was just the precedent a lot of people were mad at. Like, man, like that, that would have been a caution earlier. Why isn't it now? And then obviously it put NASCAR in the spot where you got a car crash. Now it's the white flag, so now a caution is going to end the race, and it did. So I think people at home were booing for that. People at the track were booing because the move made on Kyle Larson. So either way, a lot of people were booing at the end of the race. But still, nonetheless, I think it was still a really exciting race, just an unfortunate finish.
And we also had a little situation between Austin Dillon and Tyler Reddick where Dillon, explain the situation that happened and then what Austin Dillon did towards Tyler Reddick.
Yeah, so the situation was Tyler Reddick, Austin Dillon's racing Brad Keselowski on the front stretch, middle of the race. Tyler Reddick got a run, ended up making it 3 wide, and he was there down for a good amount of time. And the spotter, I'm sure, was calling, car low, car high. But going into turn 1 at Pocono, 3 wide in the middle is probably the last place you want to be because, you want the inside car to turn as far inside as they can. You want the outside car to not squeeze you up on the outside. So it seemed like Keselowski definitely gave him plenty of room, but Dillon turned down, I think, probably a little sooner, or maybe thought Reddick was going to back off a little bit. Either way, miscommunication of some sorts. Dillon turned down into Reddick, who was there. And then Dillon got sent up into the wall for a hard crash, hard lick. So glad to see he was okay, but he got out of that race car and he grabbed his helmet. He threw an attempted strike. It was a ball, unfortunately, but he chucked that helmet pretty far to the racetrack and unfortunately didn't hit the 45. We've seen some good helmet tosses over the years. We've seen Tony Stewart throw his helmet back in 2012 at Matt Kenseth's car. We've seen people throw their Hans devices at race cars. But Dillon he had great form on the throw. I'll give him that.
Form.
Once you look at him once you look at it in slow motion, the form was great. Cocked back the arm, everything you want to see. I'm sure. A baseball team would be welcoming for that kind of form right there for sure. I don't know if your Atlanta Braves, need a single A or a double A pitcher. Austin AD3 is there, but unfortunately the helmet just did not get there in time. So we need to just maybe work on the strength a little bit, the accuracy. But great form on the throw. Didn't strike the 45, but obviously Dillon was upset that he got wrecked. And I think said in the interview, I think the quote was, "I just need to start wrecking people." So we'll see. We got a lot of people with a lot of vendettas here.
Right.
The playoffs.
That's what I was going to say. It seems like there's a lot of animosity, and we're getting pretty late to the year. So do you think that it just kind of bubbles over? What do we have, 5 races left in the regular season?
I think it does, yeah. We're coming down to about 5 races left in the regular season, 5 or 6, I believe. I think it's 5. And so, I think even after the race, too, I don't know if you guys saw it, there was just a clip online. Ryan Preece, I'm going to assume what meditated to that was Corey LaJoie had wrecked him on the final lap, and Preece ran over to LaJoie's car and started throwing some blows inside the window and had some choice words. So that's over there on NASCAR's Twitter if you guys want to check that out, if anybody hasn't seen it. But Yeah, I mean, a lot of these interviews that we see is like when they're describing that as, okay, this isn't the first time that this person's run into me. You know, they've been racing me like this all year. So that's the things we're going to see that we aren't going to see maybe the second or third race in the season, but we're going to see now. You know, people are getting tired of each other. People are trying to go for wins, go for good finishes. The playoffs are coming up soon. Daytona's coming up soon. And, you know, we're at these tracks where a lot of people are making contact with each other and racing each other hard. Nobody's giving an inch, and that's just what happened. And everything is boiling over, and we just got beef left and right. A race at Pocono, we really wouldn't think tempers would flare this much. I've never seen tempers flare this much at Pocono, but now we got 3 separate rivalries coming out of this race. I think even during the race, Chase Briscoe crashed for a caution. Ty Dillon was the one that just dumped him, so I guess they were going back and forth for some reason. I don't know. Everybody hates each other after Pocono for some reason. And, you know, if you think this was crazy here at Pocono, just wait until these, you know, last few races of the playoffs. We go to Richmond this week in the short track. So, you know, we're gonna see how that unfolds. But everybody's mad at each other, and it's only going to get worse.
All right, whose race hurt their postseason chances, RJ?
I would have to say Alex Bowman. Alex Bowman had a really good race going, too. You know, they were running up towards the front. They had a great strategy call to kind of put them up in the top 5 at a track where he's been pretty good. I think I threw him into my 4 last week because he's shown really great strength at Pocono. So I was like, okay, you know, he's won there before. What track to get back on track? Then Pocono, but the luck just did not happen for Alex Bowman, unfortunately, getting into a late race incident. And then all of a sudden, you know, they don't get the finish that they feel like they deserved. So I think Alex Bowman didn't. You know, it's kind of like that situation I've been talking about the last few weeks. You know, Bowman and Elliott both just haven't made significant improvements on their, you know, playoff bubble, which is really going to require them to win. You know, we really thought those two could point themselves in because they're guaranteed top 5s, right? Top 10s. Hendrick went off to such a great start this year, but those summer months is where Hendrick kind of starts to dwindle a little bit, or at least everyone starts to catch up. The Fords start to catch up. Toyota always goes on a summer, you know, on a summer run here, which now they've gotten 2 in a row. So I think Hendrick's just going to have to win. They're going to have to, if they don't do it the next 4 races, they're going to have to go into Daytona and play an ultimate conservative strategy and just go for the victory there and all work together. But I definitely would say Bowman and Elliott, but more so Bowman, just for the day that they could have had a top 5, didn't get it.
Yeah, James just asked, does the 9 have a chance to make the playoffs? And his only chance at this point in time would be winning a race, right?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I'd say just because of the last 4 or 5 weeks, how they've gone, they have not had top 5 speed at any track that we've gone to. I'm going to say they're going to have to come away with the win. That's totally possible. She's driving the 9 for Hendrick Motorsports. They won the championship 2.5 years ago. Definitely possible to be, you know, it's not a crazy pick to win every week is Chase Elliott. So they definitely can get your job done, but that's probably what they're going to have to go for is race wins.
And what about on the flip side, not hurting, but helping their postseason chances? Give me a driver or 2 that helped yesterday.
Yeah, 2 big names. Ty Gibbs, number 1, got a top 5 yesterday. Ran up in the top 10 all race. Had an outstanding, really quiet race. It wasn't really talked about much as I thought he was going to. Comes back to Pocono, the track he made his debut at in place of Kurt Busch last year when Kurt Busch had his crash in qualifying, unfortunately. So comes back to a track kind of for the first time. Has an outstanding race yesterday and you know, has just continued to get better, I think. And if he makes the playoffs, could really be a threat to go deep with how consistent he's been this year. And then secondly, real quick, Michael McDowell. Another great consistent race yesterday, just doing everything that they need to do to stay in that playoff hunt. Still above the playoff cut line for Front Row Motorsports. They've never made the playoffs without a win before. Obviously made the playoffs a few years back when they won the Daytona 500. To be as consistent as they've been this year, already above the playoff cut line, going into, you know, still a few more road courses left before the playoffs where they're obviously going to be strong. 34's got an amazing chance to make it into the playoffs if we don't see any new winners.
And then give us a recap of what went down on the Xfinity sides of things there at Pocono.
Yeah, Xfinity Series had a really crazy finish. It was a pretty good race, not dominated, I'd say, but Justin Allgaier, John Hunter Nemechek, Chandler Smith were all running up front majority of the race, and you had Austin Hill up there, Josh Berry, who had won the pole. Your normal front runners were up there towards the front, and it came down to a finish right at the end. A lot of hungry drivers to get that win. Josh Berry was hungry to get his first win, dove it in on there on Austin Hill in one of the final corners, and ended up cutting his own tire in the backstretch because him and his teammate Sam Mayer had made contact, sent him into the wall. Austin Hill coasted off with the victory. So Austin Hill gets his 4th win of the year at Pocono, and now is kind of in the hunt. As we've seen, last week it was announced Justin Haley's going to Rickler Racing in 2024, leaving Colleague Racing after he's been there for so many years. And Austin Hill is one of the names that has floated around potentially to go to the 31 next year full time to be teammates with AJ Allmendinger if he stays on the Cup level. So, very interesting. Austin Hill continuing to make a name for himself down there in Xfinity, winning at tracks other than super speedways, kind of proving himself for Richard Childress Racing. So an exciting finish, but nonetheless, Austin Hill gets his 4th win of the year and now is all tied up with John Hernimchek.
You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're on the line with RJ Starcevic, host and creator of the NASCAR Report. You can find that on Instagram. One more question for you, and it's not necessarily a question. It is RJ's top 4 for the Xfinity and for the Cup Series race at Richmond, the Cookout 400 coming this Sunday.
Yes, sir. So we kind of get a little bit best of both worlds this weekend. Xfinity is over up in Wisconsin at Road America for the road course race, and Cup Series is down in Virginia for a nice little short track race at Richmond. So for the Xfinity Series, no Cup drivers in that race. It's a little 2 different races. I think it's going to be really fun for the fans to watch this weekend, but I would definitely watch Justin Allgaier in the 7. He's been really strong at Road America in the past. Cole Custer has 2 road course racing wins this year at Chicago Street Course when that race was shortened. He won at Portland as well. I'd watch for Cole Custer. You got John Hernimchek in the 20 car. Is, I think, going to be strong. Could, go for his 5th win of the season. I think is definitely possible. And then let's throw Sheldon Creed in there into my 4, somebody that Road America has proven to have first-time winners in the past. Sheldon Creed, somebody that keeps knocking on the door for those victories. Maybe he comes out with a victory. And then we move over to Richmond. Last year in this race, Kevin Harvick scored his 2nd win of the season. He scored his 1st one at Michigan. So I think Kevin Harvick coming to Richmond, a track they're very successful at, ran a very strong race at Pocono, can definitely get the win here. Richmond, big Toyota place, big Toyota track. So my 2 next drivers are going to be Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr. Definitely going to be in my 4. They have some of the strongest momentum going right now. Toyota's on a roll. No reason they can't go for their 3rd win in a row. And then as for my 4th pick here, let's throw Ryan Blaney in there. Really disappointing finish to their race at Pocono. They were up front, lost a cylinder, ended up not getting the finish that they wanted just by losing power. But he ran a great race, has been strong at Richmond in the past. I'll throw him into my 4 there for Sunday.
RJ, great stuff, man. Thank you so much for your time, and you have a great week, and we look forward to catching up with you next Monday after Road America and Richmond.
Anytime. Sounds good, y'all. Looking forward to talking to you next week. Have a great one.
That's RJ Starcevic. He's the host and creator of the NASCAR Report. You can find that on Instagram. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. This is ESPN Northwest Florida. Traffic Jam and Trivia up next.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan Patrick.
The running backs have to look at the Players Association and go, did anybody think we were going to be held in a vacuum here with our salaries? No. Remember, the tight end position was basically you blocked, and occasionally you'd catch a pass or 2. The position evolved. The running back position has to evolve.
It's the Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings from 9 till 11. ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida this Monday. The remainder of the day, a possibility of thunderstorms and some sun, and 85 with a gentle breeze coming out of the southwest at 11 miles per hour. Tonight, mostly clear skies with lows around 80. Tomorrow, mostly sunny and a temperature near 89. This forecast is brought to you by Earthworks of Northwest Florida. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
If you spend any time at all in your yard, you're going to encounter fire ants.
We know they can ruin a party. That's why we're this area's experts at fire ant elimination.
As your certified top choice professional, we will rid your yard of these unwanted invaders. Brock Pest is so sure they'll get rid of fire ants that they offer a 1-year guarantee.
Enjoy your yard fire ant free. We guarantee it. Give us a call for your free consultation.
Brock Lawn and Pest Control, our family protecting yours since 1968.
Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, this is Tim.
Do y'all sell bait?
Yes, we seasonally stock live shrimp, live bull minnows, live sand fleas, live fiddler crabs, earthworms, night crawlers, crickets. We also stock frozen shrimp, sand fleas, mullets, squid, pre-rigged ballyhoo, bonita, stingray, cigar minnows, Boston mackerel, Spanish mackerel, and a few other miscellaneous baits. It's worth the drive to buy premium locally sourced bait from Bay Breeze Bait and Tackle, located directly off Highway 98 on the west end of Panama City Beach.
Doing what other stations can't. The Afternoon Underdogs is live and local. 850-215-6290.
When you've completed dialing, listen for the ringing signal.
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
There we go. Bone Crusher's back here playing charting music right now. A little small town action there from Jason Aldean, which if you don't know, just head to the internet and just see what everyone's talking about with this. You got certain songs that can chart, that's got some very degrading lyrics in there, and then you've got other songs that tick people off for other reasons. So it is what it is. Can't make nobody happy, but at the same time, everyone's happy because we're alive, right? We better be. It is the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3 Panama City, 101.9 Port St. Joe, and we're the Afternoon Underdogs. I'm David Hayes along with Bone Crusher, and it is now time for us to play a little traffic jamming trivia. Against which pitcher? We had the Hall of Fame. We had the Hall of Fame induction for Fred McGriff and Scott Rowland yesterday afternoon. So the trivia question aligns with that. Against which pitcher, also a Hall of Famer, did Scott Rowland record his highest number of hits? Against which pitcher, he's also a Hall of Famer, did Scott Rowland record his highest number of hits? 850-215-6290 for your chance to win $25 to not the, but that boot store, and a 12-pack of Buffalo Rock. The Break Room sponsors your Braves update. Today is Meatloaf Day, and tomorrow is Quesadillas. Wednesday is spaghetti and meatballs. Thursdays is chicken pot pie, and on Fridays, it's hamburger steak. Specials are only $12. They come with your course there. They come with your side, your drink, and what's the best part of the $12?
That dessert is off the hook.
Ooh, they got pool tables, they've got beverages, they've got it all. Make sure you head on down to Joan Avenue and check out the Break Room. Tell them that the Afternoon Underdogs sent you. Fantasy football while we're waiting on a call for trivia. 850-215-6290. is now open for registration. So if you are a fantasy football player, the fee is absolutely free. There is nothing you have to do other than to send your name, your email, and that you're available for August 26th at 11 a.m. out there at Dave & Buster's. If you can approve all of that, send it to 850-215-6290, and I'll get you set up in one of our leagues if we get enough players here. So right now, I think we've got 6 people have signed up today. If we get, over that 22 threshold, I'm going to go ahead and open up another league and coerce or force Coach James Hale to be playing some fantasy football this year. And we'll see how he does, man. So I really want that to happen. So make sure you tell your friends and tell your family to sign up for ESPN Northwest Florida's fantasy football. If you weren't there with us last year at the draft at Dave & Buster's, we do it in the function room. You can bring your kids with you. It's going to be 11 a.m., right? So you get there. It's going to be the final Saturday of preseason football. We're going to have preseason games on. We're not going to be watching them technically while the draft is going on. In fact, I don't think any games will be started while we're drafting. But as soon as the drafts are over, hey, we can go watch some football, whatever you guys want to do. Bring your kids with you. They can go out there. They can play games. They can come back in and bother you, and then they can meet everyone. It's going to be a great time. Last year, we had a lot of fun, and that's really kind of where the relationship with ESPN Northwest Florida and Dave and Buster's started right there. We also, as you all know, on Wednesdays and Thursdays, you hear Amanda Muller. She's going to be out there. She's going to be playing in one of the leagues. So this is going to be another great year. But text your information, your name, your email, and that you are available for August 26th at 11 a.m. to 850-215-6290. Your Atlanta Braves are off this evening, so we'll be getting you to the Fine Bomb show at 6 o'clock tonight after the Afternoon Underdogs. But the Braves did take 2 of 3 from the Brew Crew. One thing that stood out to me from Sunday afternoon was Daisbel Hernandez with a scoreless 7th inning, struck out 3 of 4, gets the win, and in AA, AAA, and Atlanta all combined, going back to June 30th, he struck out 20 of the last 27 batters that he's faced. He's almost got like a Kenley Jansen type build. He's got a crazy story as well, defecting from Cuba 10 years ago when he was 16 years old. So a lot of cool stuff. Definitely going to be hearing more of Daisbel Hernandez moving forward. The Braves did make 2 trades today. They added to their bullpen depth by getting Pierce Johnson from the Rockies, and then they got Taylor Hearn from the Rangers. They made these trades today. I don't have the information right now in front of me. I'm pulling that up right now on exactly what it was. Cash considerations, I know, for Taylor Hearn. There was 2 pieces for Pierce Johnson, and Pierce Johnson, this is one of those this Alex Anthopoulos type move where, yeah, you can look at what his numbers look like right now, but man, we're talking about a guy who's pitching at the toughest ballpark in baseball for pitchers, or among the toughest in Colorado Rockies. So I think these are great moves, of course. I mean, when can you question Alex Anthopoulos? So it was Victor Vodnik and Tanner Gordon, 2 right-handed pitchers, to make room there on the 40-man roster. Then the Braves designated lefty Lucas Luch for assignment. Johnson's 32. He's appeared in 43 games this season for the Rockies. He's got a 1-5 record with an ERA of 6, 26 earned runs in 39 innings pitched. He's got 58 strikeouts, though, and he's among pitchers with at least 40 appearances this season. His 13.38 strikeouts per 9 innings are 6th most in baseball, so that's why the Braves are going out and getting him. He had a pretty good career going with the Padres, I believe, in 2020, 2021, both of those years. No, the Giants in 21. Or 2018, and then the Padres 20 to 22, and then he was with the Rockies this year. So I think that's going to be one of those pieces that you see. You look at the numbers on it, you're like, I don't really, why are the Braves going out and getting this guy? Well, it's to add a little depth to that bullpen, and he's not going to be pitching at Denver's ballpark where the ball is just fly. So also they got Yanni Chirinos from waivers from the Tampa Bay Rays. He's going to be a guy that was in the Rays bullpen, and he would also make a few spot starts. He's going to be a guy that comes and is mainly a starter for the Atlanta Braves, who just had to option down Michael Soroka down to AAA in Gwinnett. Chirinos is going to be a starter for the Braves, so that'll be interesting to see how all of that plays out. On Friday, Max Fried had a start for Gwinnett. He allowed 6 hits, and that's 2 home runs, allowing 3 runs while throwing 65 pitches over 3 1/3 innings. The Braves take on the Red Sox for a 2-game set. They'll be up there in Boston. for 2 games on Tuesday and Wednesday, and then off Thursday, and then another weekend series with the Milwaukee Brewers, which this time will be in Atlanta. Baseball did get 2 new Hall of Famers yesterday, one Fred McGriff and one Scott Rowland. McGriff had 10 years on the ballot, which is the maximum number allowed, and he never passed the threshold for induction or even got past 40%, but he was inducted by the Contemporary Baseball Era Players Committee, and he went in with no logo, which was a little surprising to me. I mean, we're talking about a guy who played for the Tampa Bay Rays and grew up in the Tampa Bay area, so I do understand that. Just, man, winning a World Series with the 1995 Atlanta Braves. I would have loved to see an Atlanta Braves logo there, but that, I guess, is neither here nor there because we all hold the crime dog to a special location in our heart. And then Scott Rowland, who was in his 6th year on the ballot, he was inducted by that was his 6th year on the ballot and got through, man, moved all the way up. I think his initial voting, his initial time on the ballot, he was at 10.2% and then jumped all the way up to, I believe, the 75% that you got to have. So Scott Rowland, Fred McGriff, now in the Hall of Fame. The Padres came out and said that they're not going to be trading Snell or Josh Hader, and the Mets are going to be hanging on to Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander. So as much as I figured one of those teams might be blowing it up, they're not going to be blowing up those 2 pieces or getting rid of those 2 pieces. And then the Cincinnati Reds say that they are willing to trade Jonathan India. That'll be interesting to see where he goes. I know that he's been a crucial part to this season, but does not look to be like a crucial part moving forward with as many young guns as the Cincinnati Reds have over there this year. A major league high, 12 major league debuts this year for those Cincinnati Reds. We've got some great series to look at early in the week. We've got the Reds and the Brewers, half game separating those guys. You've got the Rangers and the Astros, the Blue Jays and the Dodgers, the Orioles and the Phillies, and then you've got the Subway Series between the Mets and the Yankees and the Cubs and the White Sox.
Only 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida could bring sports fans like you an app this powerful. The sports content you crave is always on. Live stream us everywhere you go. Now with upgraded programming and live game schedules, you'll always know when the Atlanta Braves and your favorite games are playing. Plus, interact with our local hosts in real time and so much more. The new app for the sports fanatic is available at the Apple Store and Google Play. From 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida this Monday. For tonight, partly cloudy skies and a low of 79 with a calm wind around 2 miles per hour coming out of the west. Tomorrow morning, mostly sunshine with temps around 86. In the afternoon and evening, partly sunny with a gentle breeze and a temperature near 89. Moving into Wednesday, about the same with a high of 88 and mostly sunshine. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
PCB Hobby, the beach's premier hobby store for sports cards, comics, coins, and trading card games. PCB Hobby carries the largest selection of boxes and packs from the latest releases of brands like Topps, Panini, Leaf, and more. Looking for a specific player or team? PCB Hobby has a wide assortment of raw and graded cards. They carry parallel rookie, game used, and autographed cards in both modern and vintage. Have a collection you want to sell? We buy, sell, and trade. PCB Hobby on Back Beach Road, just east of Florida Linen. Call 850-320-8388.
The Atlanta Braves play here.
And the Braves are back in front.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WFieldQ Port St. John, ESPN Northwest Florida.
So you've heard the saying that if you love your job, you'll never have to work? Well, it's true.
I've worked for Brock Lawn and Pest Control for many years. The commitment to the needs of customers
and their commitment to each employee makes Brock a company I'm very proud to be a part of.
Brock's core values are also mine. Give people more than they expect and always honor your promises.
This isn't a job, it's a service to help people live a healthier lifestyle.
Brock Lawn and Pest Control, our family protecting your family.
Hometown Sports Talk from hometown hosts.
People are loving it.
We're live and local. Now back to the Afternoon Underdogs.
Are you kidding me?
104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of the Afternoon Underdogs. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're on 104.3 here in Panama City, 101.9 in Port St. Joe, and we're 40 minutes away from your next opportunity to play a little high-low for the Blast at Bay Point. You and a guest could win 18 holes at the legendary Bay Point Golf Club here in beautiful Panama City Beach. When you hear the cue to call, be caller number 10, 850-215-6290. If you guess the number correctly, you and a guest will win 18 holes at Bay Point Golf Club. The consolation prize, a large bucket of balls on the driving range. The more you listen, the better your chance of guessing the right number in high-low. Let's kick hour number 2 off with a phenomenal guest, Teresa Walker. She's an AP Pro football writer. She covers the Titans. She covers the Predators, the Grizzlies, college football, and hoops for that Tennessee region. Also a 4-time NSMA Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year. And she's in the Tennessee Sports Writer Association's Hall of Fame in the year 2020. Teresa, how's it going?
Doing well. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. It's actually a little chillier than what we're kind of used to, at least in the prior weeks. It's been, feeling like 110 and so, and today I think it only feels like about 100, so not too shabby.
Well, it feels like 97 in Nashville today, and the forecast is only going to be worse in the upcoming days. So, and of course, perfect timing as the Titans hit the field on Wednesday morning for the first practice of camp.
How's the
Never fails.
How's the humidity level up there?
Well, when I checked it an hour ago, it said it was 91, felt like 97. So, and the humidity is only going to rise through the week. So, I think the forecasted high for Wednesday is like 97. So I'm really, really grateful that Mike Vrabel's practices and available, are in the morning before the heat really cranks up.
Goodness gracious. The Titans just dipped into the free agency pool, signing DeAndre Hopkins, which was made official today. Teresa, what does the signing of DeAndre Hopkins bring to those Tennessee Titans?
Well, it's absolutely the piece that they were lacking. They didn't address it in free agency in March. They added one receiver in the 7th round in the draft in April. So, it felt like it was another shoe waiting to drop. How were they going to do it? And when Arizona released him for, DeAndre Hopkins for cap reasons, it kind of felt like fait accompli almost. Let's put it this way. I wrote the story that he'd be coming to the Titans on June 14th. Just had to wait until last Sunday to update it and make it official. I love it. Mike Vrabel kind of talked about it. He's playing golf out in Nevada, that celebrity tournament every year. But it fills the biggest need that they had. Traylon Burks is the guy that they drafted as part of the A.J. Brown trade a year ago. And with, perfect, but unfortunately injuries, struggling to adapt that rookie season. He showed flashes, but did not have an A.J. Brown type season. So the passing game of the offense, was not good at all. And the offensive coordinator was fired the day they cleaned out lockers. And they have the new coordinator, Tim Kelly, who worked with Mike Vrabel in Houston. So Mike Vrabel and Tim Kelly are both very, very familiar with DeAndre Hopkins, having called plays. Tim Kelly called plays for DeAndre Hopkins. He knows exactly what he can do in this offense. So it's going to be interesting, and it takes the pressure off of Traylon Burks, he doesn't have to step out there and be the number one, and he can work on his game. And, for a team that was one of the worst offenses in the NFL last year, aside from rushing the ball, Derrick Henry was second in the NFL with 1,538 yards rushing, but they had no passing game to speak of. There's a reason they scored 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, not of just the whole season. It was worst in the NFL. So now they're going to have that threat, and with Ryan Tannehill in the final year of his deal, Derrick Henry in the final year of his deal, they have got a very motivated group of players on offense to go with a defense that was first against the run last year and tied for 13th in fewest points allowed. So it's going to be interesting to watch how they pull this all together.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, I think we're all just ecstatic and can't wait till the first game of the season just between the Lions and the Chiefs. But yeah, for when it comes to the Tennessee Titans, who hold a special place in my heart, cannot wait for that. What do you think the deciding factor for DeAndre Hopkins was between the Titans, the Patriots, and who was the other team that was left whenever he was kind of whittling it down? Was it the Browns?
Well, because of his experience with Deshaun Watson, they were certainly mentioned, but they had issues clearing cap space. Buffalo Bills were also linked to them at one point. Kansas City also, but the Titans had, they created some cap space. They restructured safety Kevin Byers' contract to create some more space to get the deal done. But two things, playoff opportunity. In the AFC South, the Tennessee Titans have to worry about the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Colts and the Texans both have rookie coaches and rookie quarterbacks. And Anthony Richardson and Shane Steichen, I think is how you say his name, up in Indy. And then D'Amico Ryans and Bryce Young over in, CJ Stroud. I keep wanting to, I have dyslexia with these two rookie quarterbacks, right?
They're best buds. They don't care.
But that's the thing. So that it's going to be a two-team competition. It feels like in the AFC South, and the Tennessee Titans were 3 minutes away from winning the division for a third straight year with a quarterback who was signed off the streets like 10 days before he started against Jacksonville. So if with Henry and having a revamped offensive line and DeAndre Hopkins, this should be. This is an offense that will have a chance to look a lot more like what they had in 2019 when they were top 5 in total yards per game and tied for 4th, I think, with the Chiefs that year in scoring per game. So you do that with defense led by Harold Landry is back. He's not on the PUP list, we don't think, to start camp. Veterans are due to report tomorrow. He missed all of last season coming off a career year rushing the passer. Jeffrey Simmons has his extension. He's happy. Kevin Byard's been restructured and got, and he's anchoring the secondary. So they swapped out some inside linebackers, guys who have something to prove. And they added Arden Key, who I think Jaguar fans are very familiar with. So it's going to be interesting, but I think that the Titans are going to have a chance to to get back to the top of this division sooner rather than later. It's only for the fact that you've got Tannehill and Henry very motivated to keep playing in the NFL and show somebody that they deserve more money and a new contract next year somewhere.
Yeah, and that definitely seems to be like an uphill battle right now for not just Derrick Henry, but the running back position as well. I wanted to, you touched on the offensive line, and I want to get right into that. But before that, my question is, what are some of the differences that you've noticed early on between the general managers and Rand Carthon, who's running the show now, and John Robinson, who was the general manager before?
Well, I'll say this. Rand Carthon, he did similar in that they didn't make any splash moves in free agency. But the people that Rand Carthon has been drafting and signing, healthy, not coming off of, injury issues. It almost feels like John Robinson, who was fired last December, got a little, he hit the jackpot in 2019, okay? He drafted Jeffrey Simmons, a guy who tore his ACL in February and was able to be on the field in October that same year and played the rest of the season, and it's almost like he kind of got a little addicted to looking for value for guys coming off injuries. Well, the problem is Caleb Farley, he was a first-round pick 2 years ago. He started camp on the physically unable to perform list. The guy taken in the second round after him, also on the PUP list, coming off of an ACL. He signed a couple of free agents. Bud Dupree coming off an ACL. Bud Dupree was never what they had hoped he would be as a pass rusher because, first it was, he was trying to get over the ACL, had one good game his first year, the playoffs lost to Cincinnati. Then the next year he was struggling with injuries, and he goes, I compensated too much recovering from the ACL. Okay. Robert Woods was signed as a veteran receiver a year ago, coming off an ACL. They traded with the Rams for him, and he led the team in receiving and in reception, but coming off an ACL. It's not like it didn't take much to lead this team in passing yards last year, or receptions, or receiving yards. So it was just, there was a lot of that. And Rand Carthon, a lot of the, cap space that was cleared up was by cutting guys who've been hurt for a team that set an NFL record in 21, using the most players ever in a season. Since in a 16-game season, and then they had more injuries last year, and some of them, as Mike Vrabel called it back in January, serial repeaters. So and that sent a message to a couple of the guys that are still here. And Christian Fulton is one of those guys who's struggled a lot with a hamstring. That's going to be watched very closely. But strangely enough, in the NFL, availability is half the battle. And that's what Rand Carthon has tried to do, is get guys who have a bit of a track record that they can stay healthy.
You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're on the line with AP Pro Football writer Teresa Walker. What are you excited about? What moves, who are you excited about for the offensive line this year?
Well, I'm curious to see if Andre Dillard is the guy that ends up winning the left tackle spot. He's a former first round pick in Philly that was disappointing there, but the Titans have not only a new coordinator, a new passing game coordinator, they have a new offensive line coach as well. So they drafted Peter Skoronski from Northwestern, and he has worked at both tackle and left guard. And they signed Daniel Brunskill, who I expect to see at right guard. Their left guard last year, Aaron Brewer, is going to get the first shot at winning the center job. Now, the problem is they've got to find somebody to come in and fill in at right tackle for the first 6 games, because Nicholas Petit-Frere was suspended for betting on other sports while at the facility there in Nashville. So it's going to be interesting to see how they fill that hole. But this is essentially, aside from MPS, this is a revamped line from one end to the other, particularly over the first 6 games. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this works. But here's the thing. They lost their 3-time Pro Bowl tackle to a second torn ACL in 3 years last September. And the guy that they brought in for depth, Dennis Daly, struggled mightily. So this is a line that can't help but be somewhat better if they only stay healthy and stay together and build some chemistry.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned Aaron Brewer being flipped over there to center. Last year, or for the last 3 years, Ben Jones was anchoring that position down and seemed to have great cohesion and chemistry with Ryan Tannehill, and did a great job setting the tone there for Derrick Henry. How will Aaron Brewer fill in that role that Ben Jones had last year?
Well, he tried to bulk up. You can kind of see it. Of course, during the off season, it's lifting season. So, he's an undersized guy. He's a guy that Mike Vrabel loves because he calls him tougher than a $2 steak. He's an undrafted kid, I think from Texas State, if I'm remembering correctly. And, but the advantage, he's been here through the off season. So was Ryan Tannehill. So they were able to work together, work on chemistry, timing, and things like that. And, you can survive. I remember when Mark Stepnoski was considered an undersized center that played for this franchise back in the day. So, but we're going to be watching to see if he can win that job. Corey Levin is a guy that could be an option. And Ben Jones is trying to get healthy. And, he hasn't closed the door on the Titans. He still talks to Mike Vrabel, and so if Aaron Brewer doesn't work out, there might be a chance that Ben Jones is healthy, that they say, hey Ben, want to come back?
Oh yeah, with them still being a free agent, that could definitely be a possibility. I love that. In your opinion, who starts out as quarterback 2 behind Ryan Tannehill this year? Will it be Malik Willis or Will Levis?
For the moment, it's going to be Malik Willis because he has a year's experience on Will Levis. I'm very curious to see how quickly Will Levis can close that gap and take that spot, because when you're the 33rd pick overall, you should be the number 2 by the time the season starts. That's going to be the challenge. Can he win that job and take it away?
What are you hearing as far as pertaining to Will Levis? Are you hearing good things, bad things, or is it kind of split down the middle?
Well, he was a rookie during the off-season program. Think about it. You go from visiting teams to getting drafted, then you come in and you have to start learning the playbook.
Right.
And that's what he planned to do over the 5-week break from when they let the rookies go to when, the rookies had to report this last Saturday. And so he gets a couple of days ahead of Malik Willis to show what he's learned. But, we'll see, the biggest challenge for Malik Willis a year ago as a rookie was knowing the playbook in his head, but getting his body and the muscle memory so that he could do it without thinking and processing it. Now, Mike Vrabel said that Malik Willis, what they want to see him take the next step is go from, executing the right play, say in a 3rd and 7, and knowing, okay, I need to get 5 yards so that we can try field goal, or maybe go for it on 4th down, and knowing game and time and situations so that he can make the right decisions on 3rd down, when it's run or pass situations. So very, very curious to see where Will Levis is, because that's the challenge. Knowing the playbook's one thing, but you got to go out there and execute it. He's got an arm. He looks the part of a prototypical NFL quarterback. He's got the physical size. The arm is big. And, he is a guy that, if he had come out for the 21 draft, people were saying maybe he's the number 1 pick of 21. So instead, he plays another season behind, with most of the guys that protected him the year before having already gone to the NFL. And, well, it wasn't pretty, and he played through, an injury that he probably shouldn't have, and doctors told him, hey, you've got to play for the rest of the year and be okay. That's what you need to do to heal it up. Instead, the guy played through it. So I'm just curious to see, if he can get that knowing what to do, doing it, and executing it. The biggest thing I think for him is going to be getting that short pass down. Yeah. He's got the arm. He can unleash it. Can he make the shorter throws, the out routes? Those are going to be that's what I want to see.
You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. We're on the line with Teresa Walker, 4-time NSMA Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year. Teresa, with all of the offseason contract disputes going on with running backs, will there be a chip on the shoulder for number 22, Derrick Henry, this year?
I think so. I mean, Derrick Henry is a guy who doesn't go to social media much, and he went to social media last week, right? On Monday night, and kind of, he shared, it was more emotion that I've seen out of Derrick Henry in person, social media, you name it, other than stiff-arming somebody on the literal football field. And he's in the final year of his deal. Now, here's the challenge, though, is, this is a guy that if he can have a couple more great years, he's put together a Pro Football Hall of Fame resume. And the challenge right now is in the NFL, if you look at SpotRack.com, look at the position by position breakdown. Running back has been devalued by the NFL because they just keep replacing guys in the draft. Well, there's not that many, people like Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, Adrian Peterson. Derrick Henry, before he broke the right foot in 21, was on pace to not just lead the league in rushing for a 3rd straight year, which hadn't been done since Emmitt Smith in the early 90s, to possibly putting back-to-back 2,000-yard seasons the way he was running the ball. So he's different. And if he can put, now you've got a motivated Derrick Henry. You want to count out running backs. It feels like he's going to be running with a chip on his shoulder, and he's got hopefully, the Titans hope, a better offensive line in front of him, a better passing game to open up some holes and ease at least the defender away from the box. That'll give him some more room to run. Oh, yeah, he led the league in broken tackles last year as well. So I'm looking forward. I think he'll have a chance at 1,800 yards this year. And, gosh, in the 17-game season, would not be surprised if he's got a chance at a big performance in Game 17 against Jacksonville to maybe – come close to 2K again.
Yeah, it's so wild, people, and I understand he's getting older, but man, he ran for 1,538 yards last year behind the offensive line that we all can agree on was one of the worst, if not the worst, in the league last year. Teresa, I'm out of time. Thank you so much for giving me some of your time, and tighten up.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. That's Teresa Walker. She is an AP Pro football writer. She covers the Titans, the Predators, the Grizzlies, and college football and basketball. It's the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida. We're going to be right back with Todd Mueller and PCB Hobby.
ESPN Northwest Florida presents the Blasted Bay Point.
We talked to Alan Watson at Golf Plus, and the new TaylorMade GTX putter has been flying off the shelf. How many have they sold thus far?
I'm going to go with 91.
That is too high.
Keep listening to win the Blasted Bay Point on ESPN Northwest Florida.
This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida this Monday. For tonight, partly cloudy skies and a low of 79 with a calm wind around 2 miles per hour coming out of the west. Tomorrow morning, mostly sunshine with temps around 86. In the afternoon and evening, partly sunny with a gentle breeze and a temperature near 89. Moving into Wednesday, about the same with a high of 88 and mostly sunshine. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Gulf Coast Aquarium is now Gulf Coast Aquarium and Pet. They have a full line of live reptiles and reptile supplies, including the area's largest supplier of ZooMed products. ZooMed, a family-owned business with over 45 years of U.S.-based manufacturing. ZooMed is #1 in reptile products worldwide and is now available at Gulf Coast Aquarium and Pet, 469 Harrison Avenue, downtown Panama City. You know the break room for the best pool tables in Bay County. But did you know they now serve delicious food? Check out the break room's daily lunch and dinner specials like spaghetti and meatballs, meatloaf with mashed potatoes, air-fried chicken, and more. Plus the best burgers, hot dogs, and you gotta try the Sammy of the day. The break room on Panama City Beach at the corner of Joan Avenue and North Lagoon. For more information, check them out on Facebook.
Chef Ross here. We're open daily at 11 at the break room.
We are live and local. From Camp Helen State Park to the historic Martin Theater.
Definitely time to let our hair down and have some fun.
It's the Afternoon Underdogs. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
You're back. You're riding with the Afternoon Underdogs. You're listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Double red flags. They are flying now, y'all. They actually changed over at about noon this afternoon from single red flags to double red flags. We've had one fatality. A lady was pulled out of the water, pronounced dead at Rick Seltzer Park. So make sure that you're not getting in the water, entering the water. Then when double red flags are flying is a $500 fine, and you can be arrested. Now we're going to get to Todd Mueller, who is the owner of PCB Hobby. What's going on down there? What's the latest and greatest with the PCB Hobby takeover?
What's going on, y'all? I'm here, and I'm happy.
There you go.
Because it's Monday.
It's Monday.
I love Mondays, guys. For some reason, Mondays are always busy and fun. Just to put a little shout out there, hate to hear about the fatality. However, that should teach everybody when there's double red flags, you should be at PCB Hobby buying sports cards.
There you go.
I'm just saying.
There you go.
All right. So we got a lot going on as usual. We had our Pokemon, excuse me, let me see. What week are we in? Yes, we had our Pokemon.
I'm pulling out the website right now to find out.
You got to pull up our website. We got our calendar of events on there. I can't even remember what's happened. It's been such a whirlwind lately. Visitors are still in town, and it's been great. Met a lot of great people. Met a group from Atlanta today. Talked with them for a while. Another group from Tennessee came in, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been busy at the shop. A lot of people buying sports cards and TCGs, and of course we've been doing a lot of coin stuff too. Wanted to talk a little bit about coin stuff today for all you guys out there. We are going to be going to a show in a couple weeks and going to be buying a bunch more inventory for our Whatnot streams and things like that. But for all you locals out there, hit us up in 3 weeks. 3 weeks, hit us up if you're looking for anything particular, because we'll have a massive amount of inventory. So pretty excited about that. Of course, check out our Whatnot show, PCB Coins, on Whatnot. We stream, are you ready for this? Drum roll, 7 days a week now.
7 days a week?
Yes. So we do stream on Sundays now. If you need something to do on the weekend, we have two special shows. Saturday, we stream at noon, and that's our foreign coin show. So we do a lot of foreign coins on that show. So if you're into anything more than just U.S. stuff, you need to check that show out. It's a lot of fun. We have silver, all kinds of just different neat foreign coins, foreign notes from all around the world, and that's a lot of fun.
Sorry to take you off your momentum, but is there one or two countries that stand out above?
Mexico and Canada.
Mexico and Canada.
Believe it or not, the neighbors. Believe it or not, everybody loves Canada stuff and Mexico stuff, and specifically, they love the old Mexico stuff. The 8 reals coins from the 17 and 1800s, the silver coins. People love that stuff. They also love the 1 ounce silver Mexican libertads, also known as onzas, meaning ounce of silver. They love those as well too. So we sell a lot of that type of stuff on that stream. So it's a really fun stream. We just started. This was our last. This Sunday, yesterday was our first time streaming on a Sunday. We did from 12 to 6, so we did a 6-hour stream. It was pretty long. But that was our U.S. coin stream, and so that's the first time PCB Coins has been on Whatnot on Sundays. So Saturdays and Sundays are kind of cool. Of course, we have our normal 2 shows a day scheduled Monday through Friday, which most people know about that. We are still doing sports card streams. If you did not know, PCB Sports Cards still streams on Whatnot. We try to do Tuesdays and Thursdays. A lot of times it just ends up being Thursdays, but we do mystery packs, and we have a really good time with that. We did just get on Sunday a very large collection of memorabilia and sports cards. So if you're looking for anything new, please come by the shop. We got a lot of memorabilia in. Pretty much you name it, we got it in this collection. It was big. It was very large. So don't try me, David. I see you over there looking like, do you have...
No. Actually, my thought is, do I know who sold their collection? That was my...
You do. You do know. We'll talk about it afterwards, but I'm pretty sure you know who that is. Anyway, so it's pretty awesome. So you guys should come in and find some more stuff from us. Like I said, we were really busy today. I love Mondays. I don't know what it is, but lots of people show up on Mondays. Yeah. Like maybe they're just waiting because Sunday we were closed. Yeah. And I don't know, but it was really great.
It's that start of the week, and everybody's got to they got to be on top of things, because that's kind of the difference in hobbies and all of the hobbies.
Especially if you're looking for something, right? If you're looking for something, you got to come in. It's like Walmart. You don't go into Walmart on Wednesday at 3 and expect the shelves to be full. Right. Because that's not when they stock. Yeah. Right? Right. You figure out when they stock. They stock Fridays at midnight, so come in Saturday morning at 8. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. And so I think a lot of people feel the same way, and they're kind of like, you know what? Let's go into the card shop on Monday. I bet we'll find some great stuff. And it's true. And a lot of them are on their way out of town. Or just got there.
Right. So, and if you're looking for it, someone else is looking for it too.
100%.
And you can't let the next man up get the stuff you want.
You can. I had a guy come in today, and he bought a few things, and he's like, "Hey, do you have this? Do you have that?" And so I was showing him, and he's like, "Do you guys ship?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." And he's like, "Well, let me think about it." I said, "Be careful with the think about it."
Yeah, exactly.
Just say be careful, because you never know. You might come back and it's gone.
You're thinking about it. Is someone else? Oh, let me grab that right now, please.
Exactly. Some of the hottest sports card products that are out right now is Topps Tribute, Topps Finest, and Topps Chrome is going to be coming out. Topps Chrome Baseball is one of the largest, best products of the year for baseball. And so we will be having that as soon as it comes in. You can easily go look up the release date online, and it'll tell you when Topps Chrome Baseball is coming out. We will be having it that day, no problem. We also have the Bowman's Best Basketball U in, which did just come in, so we now have it. It's actually been out for a few weeks, but we didn't get our shipment for near a week and a half. But we did finally get it, and so that's all good. Like I said, we got a lot of good inventory in. We got a lot of Shohei Ohtani rookies in. Yeah. Some more Ellie De Cruz. Just a bunch of good stuff in this collection. So, and again, like I said, a lot of memorabilia. So you guys need to check it out. One of the biggest things we've been working on is our social media. If you aren't up on what we do, we are mostly on Instagram, and we're mostly on Facebook. And so our main account is PCB Hobby. So if you go on Instagram or you go on Facebook and you look up PCB Hobby, you're going to find most of the news and the release stuff on those feeds. Now, if you want to specialize anything, like if you're just a coin guy or you're just a sports card guy, you can go to several of our different IDs. We have PCB Coins pretty much on every platform. You name the platform, we're pretty much on there.
Yeah.
And then we have PCB sports cards and we have PCB trading card games. Those are our three mains. We also have our fourth one that we have now introduced, PCB Comics. Right. So again, we have 4 specialized area, which you're going to see. If you're a comics person, as an example, go to the PCB Comics one on Instagram or Facebook, because you're going to see a lot of stuff just about that area. You're not going to see that, we're closed on a Saturday, for some day, or a Monday, or something like that. You're going to find that on PCB Hobby.
Yeah.
What you're going to find on those feeds are more inventory and things for sale as well. And so I just want to make sure everybody knows out there that that's what those are being used for at this moment. That's what we're growing those into, is more of a sales channel for social media on our different IDs. But for our informational and for the company, PCB Hobby is where you need to be. So please go follow us. We could use the follow and interact with us, send us messages, DM us. We'll answer questions. We have no problem with that. And it's 24/7 all the time.
Yeah, follow all the socials and then just go bookmark the website, and that way you're just kind of always in the loop.
Right, exactly. And you need to be, because again, if you're ever looking for anything, and look, I get it, you may only come in one time a year, but maybe it's at Christmas. Go check out our social media and our website, because it's going to tell you a lot.
Yeah.
And then that way you're not going to miss out.
Right. I've been seeing some of the ones on Facebook about the Walt Disney little cards.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, no. Am I talking about? I think I'm talking about graded pictures of Walt Disney.
Oh yeah. Oh, you saw those? Yes.
Yeah, those things are
you never
neat.
know what walks in. Those are original vintage.
I bet
those are original. They're worth a lot of money. A lot of money.
Just seeing that kind of stuff to me is just so cool.
Such
because
rarities.
Thinking about the past in general is wild.
Exactly. And that's the whole point, is that you never know what's going to walk through the door, and it's so much fun to see that stuff. I was telling somebody the other day, we went to a show in Daphne, Alabama, and I don't remember if last time I mentioned that we had gotten a Satchel Paige card. We had a 53 Satchel Paige.
Yes, sir.
And again, we hadn't seen one for years. I mean, years for one of those to actually come through the door. And it finally did. So that was really cool. I'm very excited.
And when they're older like that, do the graders give a little leeway just because of how
they do on vintage cards? They give a little leeway. Like they'll give you, there's nothing less than a poor one, but they'll give you the poor one and not give you a miscut or a stain or a this or that, because it's all creased up and chewed up. Mm-hmm. They'll just straight grade it a poor one, which is fair. Right. Very fair. Even though I've seen poor ones that are much nicer than a ragged out poor one. Yeah. But it doesn't matter. It's still a poor one.
Gotcha.
So that it's kind of nice to know that they do take that into account when it's an older card.
One of our listeners asked if what's dropping on Wednesday. Is there anything dropping on Wednesday? I don't have very much context here.
I believe that it is Topps Chrome, but if you just give me a second,
nice.
yeah,
let me absolutely.
See. Now, if they're talking about comics, I'm not specifically.
I think it's
sure.
sports cards.
Sports cards. Okay, let me see.
Yeah, so that.
Give me a second.
Yeah, absolutely. And with while you're looking that up, not to take you down this road at all, but the good news for PCB Hobby right now. I know we were talking about Shohei Ohtani, and not like it's great news for just PCB Hobby, but for Angels fans especially, looks like. And we're still about a week away from the trade deadline, but the Angels are 6-4 in their last 10, and they've got another week to do their best to keep Shohei Ohtani here.
I hope they do. Just to cut back in, 2023 Topps Chrome Baseball Hobby will be available on Wednesday. So we'll probably get our shipment tomorrow, and then it'll be available for sale on Wednesday. 2023 Topps Chrome Baseball. All right, so back to trade deadlines. It'll be exciting to see what really happens. I actually hope Ohtani doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
He's doing a really good job. He's a great player. We all know he's a great player. It's amazing what he's been able to achieve. And I don't see a need for him to move on.
Yeah.
I don't. What I see a need for is for him, let's say he's been in the league, 2018. He's been in the league 5 years. I would like to see him another 5 years on the Angels, personally.
Okay.
And then when he's done, go to the Yankees.
Yeah.
I mean,
just
honestly,
go to the Yankees. Finish it out there.
Finish it out there.
Yeah.
Be one of the greatest ever and end as a Yankee. But you'll always be known as an Angel. And, it's just my opinion.
If let's say he does that, 5 more years with the Angels here, 5 or 6 years, whatever it may be, and then goes to the Yankees and is still pitching and hitting there that late into his career and is dominating, will he take over? Because I think Babe Ruth is, of course he's heralded above all in baseball.
I think in this climate that we're in, I think it could be said that he would be the greatest baseball player ever over Babe Ruth, over all of them. Mantle, over Jeter.
Does it help him being in New York to unequivocally have people say that?
And that's what you have to do, because you have to go to the toughest team. The toughest team is the Yankees.
Right.
Because they're always looked at. Everybody's always got a scope on them.
Yep.
Right?
Doesn't matter if it's good or bad.
Doesn't matter good or bad. Right. So, and as Sharon always says, good PR, bad PR, hey, it's all PR.
Yeah, exactly.
So it doesn't really matter. They're under the microscope. And so if you get a guy like him on your team and he does well, I mean, that just honestly solidifies the career.
Yeah. It's going to be very interesting to see how this next little week plays out, because now by the time that you're here next Monday, we'll be a little bit closer, because the trade deadline is going to be on Tuesday at about 4 o'clock. So,
yeah, I'll try to do a little bit of homework coming in the next week and see if I can't remember who's up for trade or who got traded.
Yeah,
because I'm terrible at that. As everybody knows, I am one of those guys that I'm focused on the business, and I'm focused on the business because I care so much about the business. And so a lot of times I don't read. A lot of times I don't investigate into what's going on around me. I'm very, very ultra focused on what's going on in the business for the customers and for the products and for all that stuff. And Bill and I both, we work very hard to put the best out there we can for the community. So.
What's been the buzz around PCB Hobby with Bryce Young and CJ Stroud? Is one getting a little bit more play to this point, or are they both about even being rookies?
They're both about even right now. We even picked up some of that material as of late, but they're pretty much in the same. What's interesting about PCB Hobby, this is one of the most interesting things, is that there's not one thing that overrides everything else.
Yeah.
Because we get so many visitors from so many different places. You're obviously going to get Alabama fans coming in. You're going to get Braves fans coming in. But then you're going to get Reds fans from Cincinnati. And then you're going to get Titans fans from Nashville.
Yeah.
And then you're going to get somebody from, the Carolinas. And then you're going to get somebody who's in Florida who likes, so-and-so or this person. It's amazing how many different people and types of things that come through the door and people trade to us and sell to us. So there's really not a single one that you can put your thumb on
and be like, this guy
is it, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is like our main guy who's selling. Even Ellie De La Cruz is going good, but there's so much people that don't care for him. They just don't care for him because they're not collectors of him. Right? So while he may be hot, it doesn't mean it's going to sell well.
Yeah.
Right? It just depends on who comes through the door.
Well, we only got 3 minutes here, so I don't want to talk about Tom Brady. But you guys have a full week coming up of stuff going on. I mean, starting tomorrow night with Yu-Gi-Oh!
Right. So Tuesday nights Yu-Gi-Oh! We're going to have Yu-Gi-Oh! Play. Most of these events start at 6 or 6:30. Check again the calendar on PCBHobby.com.
Right. 6 o'clock for Yu-Gi-Oh!
6 o'clock, yeah. And then Wednesday we have it's going to be Pokemon. And then Thursday night, I believe we don't have anything going on right now Thursday night, but we do Friday night have Friday Night Magic. And then, of course, Vanguard is on Saturday. And we've been getting a lot of groups of people in. Now, the cool thing is we kind of slated out what our new space might look like all together and done.
Right.
Which, again, probably won't even be done until January 1st.
Yeah.
But let's just go with by January 1st, we're done. We will have plenty of room for 50-plus players to play at one time in tournaments. And we can have multiple things going on at once. If people want to come in and just play, on Saturdays, bring 6-8 people in and want to just do a little mini tournament, we can do all kinds of stuff. We're going to have all kinds of room for that. So our retail space is going to be really decked out.
And then Lorcana drops, closer to September?
Yeah, Lorcana, I believe, drops closer to September. I want to say end of August, beginning of September, which we'll have organized play for that as well, when we'll have a bunch of different products and things for sale on that. So we're pretty excited about that. And that'll be the new one. Plus, I want to say by November, Series 2 Lorcana will be out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So drop one, the other comes.
Right. So there could be all kinds of stuff going on very soon.
Man, that is great stuff. Todd, thanks so much for stopping by. Anything else that we need to get into?
No, I don't think so. As usual, come see us. We got a lot of new inventory, like I said. And tell us when you come see us that you heard us on ESPN.
There you go. Yeah, when you guys head over there to PCB, I'll make sure that that you tell them that you heard us or you heard about PCB Hobby on ESPN. It's a great store, man. Just the prices is a non-starter. It's a non-issue because you guys got everything covered there. All supplies that you need. If it's anything to do with a hobby, that's it. You can find it at PCB Hobby. We've got to run to a break because it is now time to play a little high-low. I'm talking about the Blast at Bay Point, 850-215-6290. We're looking for caller number 10.
Your attention, please. ESPN Northwest Florida reminds you it's the law. It's the law. When there's a double red flag, stay out of the water, stick your toes in the sand, grab a cold drink, and listen to live sports.
Swung on, miss, strike 3.
On 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Double play!
This is Joanna with your latest forecast on ESPN Northwest Florida this Monday. For tonight, partly cloudy skies and a low of 79 with a calm wind around 2 miles per hour coming out of the west. Tomorrow morning, mostly sunshine with temps around 86. In the afternoon and evening, partly sunny with a gentle breeze and a temperature near 89. Moving into Wednesday, about the same with a high of 88 and mostly sunshine. This forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for keeping that dial on ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hey folks, Chris Kramer with Bill Kramer GM. And the best place to listen to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is inside a brand new vehicle from Bill Kramer GM. And I want you to know we've got 10 times the amount of inventory on the ground as we did this time last year, and darn near all of them are discounted. So shop us online at BillKramerGM.com or visit the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd. We'll make it easy and take great care of you.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
It moves fast. The High School Spotlight. Weekdays at 5:40.
Let's do it.
Sponsored by Barbaritos. ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. It's the Afternoon Underdogs on ESPN Northwest Florida, and we are playing a little high-low here for the Blast at Bay Point, and we've got Bobby on the line. Man, you got some quick calling, or you got some impeccable timing to be caller number 10 again today. Bobby, we talked to Alan Watson at Golf Plus last week, and the new TaylorMade GTX putter has been the hottest seller in the shop. How many have they sold so far?
I'm going to go with 86.
Is it 86?
That is too high.
Oh, man. Bobby, well, we tried again, and your next opportunity to play some high-low is going to be at 8:40 in the morning on the Coach James Hale Show. Unfortunately, you already have won a large bag of range balls from Bay Point Golf Club, so there is no need to stay on the line. Thanks so much for calling, though, and have a great day.
All right, thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Bobby there with a great try there with a little bit too high. A little too high. I know that we're not supposed to repeat the numbers, but Bone Crusher will be putting in a promo at some point in time, and you guys just listen to those or listen to ESPN Northwest Florida constantly, and your next opportunity to play a little high-low is going to be 8:40. Coach James Hale Show. If they don't get it right there, it'll be at 12:40 on the Inside Drive, and then right back here tomorrow at 5:40 for some high-low. When you hear the cue to call, be calling number 10, 850-215-6290 for an opportunity to play high-low, and you and a guest win 18 holes of golf at the Bay Point Golf Club. And as a consolation prize, if you don't get the number correctly, you get a large bucket of balls on the driving range there at Bay Point. All right, we are taking our fantasy football submissions right now for our leagues. We've got the Afternoon Underdogs League. We've got the Inside Drive League. There is absolutely no difference in the leagues to this point anyways. If we have enough interest. If we have enough entries come in, then we will make a third league called the Coach James Hale League, and I will try my best to get Coach James Hale manning a team over there. So all you got to do is text your name, your email to 850-215-6290, and then also in that message, let me know that you're available for the live fantasy draft that's going to be held August 26th at 11 a.m. out there at Dave & Buster. So if you're a fantasy football player, make sure that you're signing up now because it goes like hotcakes. I mean, we're just on the first day, and I've already got 8 entries right now, which is more than half of one league. By the time tomorrow comes, we could be all the way filled. So make sure that you're getting your entry or getting your information sent in. That is your name. That's your email, and that you are available August 26th at 11 a.m. All right, got a little local here. A local segment is brought to you by Barbaritos. Visit Barbaritos on 23rd Street. Tell them that the Underdogs sent you. Tell PCB Hobby if you head there that you heard about them on ESPN Northwest Florida. Anywhere you go, if you hear them on our air, make sure that you're supporting them because you heard about them on ESPN Northwest Florida. Also, we have our Mosley Passing Academy with Coach Tommy Joe Whidden. Tomorrow night is going to be the final one that is going to be at the Mosley practice field. They're looking for 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, quarterbacks, wide receivers, and running backs. It goes from 6:30 to 7:30 at the Mosley practice field for the Mosley Passing Academy. From WMBB, the annual Ironman Disc Golf Tournament returned to the Majet course for its 3rd year Saturday afternoon. It was called the Ironman. It's one of 2 charity events at Majet each year, this one partnering with the Fountain-Based Hope Project. In the summer, the director there, Gann, said that the local disc golfer always is loyal to show up and play in the heat, but also tourists in town for the beach will often come to play a round or two. I'm blanking on the guy's name, but he used to always come in, call in. I want to say it was Forrest or something. No, that's not the right name, but he was big into the disc golf world and what we're doing here in Panama City. So, hey, send me a text if you're still out there listening, my friend. Majet's going to hold its 4th tournament of the year, the Monster Mash, which has become a fan favorite the week of Halloween. And then South Walton alumni Lee Coble has been hired as the head girls basketball coach at her high school alma mater. She graduated from South Walton in 2018 and helped lead the Seahawks girls basketball team to multiple Final Four appearances. She replaces Porter David, who spent 1 season as head coach following the 18-year Hall of Famer Coach Kevin Craig when he led South Walton. After high school, Coble attended Auburn and was a student assistant with the women's basketball team. She coached the Seahawks JV team last year and said that she's ready to take over the varsity, a group that she's seen grow up over the years. Coming up next is not going to be your Atlanta Braves. It is going to be Paul Feinbaum. Paul Feinbaum. And again, let's go back to our trivia. What you got, Bone Crusher?
You were bringing up the disc golf. Can you recommend where I can go play some disc golf at? I got some discs in the van. Didn't they used to have one over at the campus across down the street?
Yes, man. They used to have one right over there at FSUPC. That was my favorite to play because really there was only 2 or 3 holes that you would lose your disc in. You know what I mean? Or there was a lot of water, right? But it was the bay, so you could honestly just get out there and walk into it. And if you lost it, you could just have the maintenance man climb up on the roof over there of Gulf Coast State College.
I could see you swimming in after all your discs. And
hey, them things are like, $10 a piece or whatever. That adds up. You keep on losing them, you know what I mean? And you're supposed to have ones for specific shots and all that good stuff. So, so you have that. You've got Majet, which is up 231 Star Avenue area where Bay Dunes Golf Course used to be. That one's a good one. I haven't played it in a while, but it's pretty, I don't know, you have an opportunity to lose discs wherever you go. You also have, I don't know if you know the Walcom Park over there off of Balboa Avenue. I think there's a little 9-hole course over there.
Okay.
So if you're going down 11th Street, if you're going east down 11th Street, and then you could take a right at Balboa right there, and then just kind of a quick little left by the dog park and walk down the walking park, walk through the walking park just a little bit, and you'll find it. There's also an app that you can download that tells you some of the courses around here, and you're
getting pretty hardcore over there.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I first started playing, I was like, man, this is awesome. The problem with me is like, or not the problem with me is whenever it gets like to this level of the heat, I don't have anyone that's going to go with me. I don't even want to go with myself. Oh, and there's one in Lynn Haven at the what is it called? I think it might be called the Conservation Park. So it's kind of over there by the like Florida Highway Patrol, maybe Deer Point Elementary area. Yeah. So
man, knows some disc golf in this town.
Yeah, there's a ton of it, man, and it's a really cool sport because anyone can do it. It's like pickleball right now, you know. Like I think disc golf has already had its explosion. I still have yet to play pickleball, and I mean it's like tennis. It's like tennis. I've played tennis like 3 times, but ping pong I've played a lot of. So I mean I wouldn't mind playing a adult a real size version of ping pong, if you will.
And grandmas are destroying their grandkids in pickleball.
It's true though, man. What more could you ask for as a grandparent than to be able to beat your young whippersnapper?
Right?
Because what other sports are there really out there, you know? Like it's definitely not going to happen in video games. It might happen in working games, like if you created games doing work, then you know what I mean? Like who can mow the grass the fastest? I think Grandpa's going to win that 9 times out of 10, even though it shouldn't be that way at all. But you know what I mean? Like Grandpa's going to get to it real quick, and the youngin's just going to procrastinate as long as they possibly can.
Pickleball fever.
Pickleball fever.
Yeah, there's a pickleball course behind the library on Hutchinson.
Yeah.
So me and the wife got our tennis rackets.
Oh, yeah?
Saw by Walmart, got some new balls up there. I'm standing on the court, getting ready to serve.
Like,
something is amiss. I can't quite put my finger on it. So I throw the ball up to serve, and I hit the ball, and I go, oh, this is not a tennis court. Then some that's right next to the senior center. So some little nice little old lady comes over, gives me you lost your tennis ball. Then she let me play her in pickleball, and she crushed me.
Yo, really?
Embarrassing. So yeah.
And what was like one of the hardest parts of pickleball, like kind of getting used to? Because if you're playing tennis and then you go to pickleball, how different is that world?
It's like going from racquetball to tennis because it's a different wrist action. It's very different.
I was going to guess, is it like going from swimming in an Olympic pool to going to a hot tub and doing laps there? All right, man. Still taking those entries for fantasy football. And we can even go back to trivia real quick and try to give away $25 to not the, but that boot store by you. Calling in right now, 850-215-6290, and telling me against which pitcher, who's also a Hall of Famer, did Scott Rowland record his highest number of hits? This is wild. I really would have never guessed in a million years that it would have been this particular pitcher. And to throw a hint out, he was a big time Atlanta Brave. So 850-215-6290 for traffic jamming trivia. All right, this running back contract disputes that are going on in the NFL right now. Cleveland Browns running back Nick Chubb was among many high-profile backs that participated in a Zoom call Saturday to discuss the state of the running back market. This was first reported by Pro Football Talk's Mike Florio. It was held as a response to the deflated market for running backs who were looking for a second contract following the inability of stars like Saquon and Josh Jacobs to land these extensions. The meeting was organized by Austin Eckler, who's the running back for the LA Chargers. You had Saquon, Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey, and Josh Jacobs all at that meeting via Zoom, according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. Chubb said, right now, there's really nothing we can do. we're kind of handcuffed with this situation where the only position that our production hurts us the most. If we go out there and run 2,000 yards with so many carries, the next year they're going to say you're probably worn down. It's tough. And that he's got a good point there. I mean, it's one of the only positions. Tight end, you're doing a lot of blocking and receiving, and sometimes for a certain amount of the tight end, some running. But with the running back, you're blocking for the quarterback a lot. In certain packages, you're blocking for screen passes. The RPO is, never easy to run as well, because you could be getting hit even if you're not getting the ball, and then you're getting hit 15 to 25 times a game. So that makes a lot of sense. And I've said before, and I still stand by, just because the job's harder, and I wish that it wasn't this way, but just because the job's harder doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be making more money. I think that the overwhelming thing that needs to be done is every other player's got a 4-year rookie deal. I think that we can make the exception for running backs, that it's a 2-year rookie deal with the opportunity to go ahead and make some more money there, because the shelf life is so short. I don't think that you're going to get 32 owners to come and agree on that, because the more money that they can save, let's not try to, lie to ourselves here and say that the NFL is all about doing the best that they possibly can for the players, or is any business in all reality, 100% there for the employees if they're not making the money that they can make. So anytime that, the NFL can make out like a bandit on a certain position, I think that they're going to. And we'll see how it works out. I also think that in the world of sports, many things are cyclical. So how long will this little episode last? And really what I think players need to see right now is you need to see guys like Bijan Robinson and these rookies come in and just kind of take the world by storm, take the fantasy world by storm as well. And that will bode well for the future of that running back position. But say Bijan comes in, has a huge year, then has a second huge year, then the third year he drops off, and on that fourth year he's kind of teetering between what he was and what he was last year and what he was 3 years ago. Well, he's more than likely going to get franchise tagged again, and once they get franchise tagged, the team can either re-franchise tag you the next year, or you can sit out, or they don't pick up the franchise tag on you, you become a free agent, and it's really just on what a team thinks you're going to be able to do for the next 3 to 4 years, because let's just be honest, there's not many Frank Gores, there's not many Adrian Petersons left in the world. We'll see how long the careers of Christian McCaffrey, how long Saquon Barkley, and how long even Derrick Henry's career are going to be lasting, but it's not over yet. Or their careers are not over yet, but they're just not getting paid in the direction or with the amount that they want to, and they're not too far off. Looking here, the Las Vegas Raiders have signed 3-time Pro Bowler Marcus Peters there for their defensive back room. That is big-time news. He's 30 years old. And just like Teresa was saying earlier with the Tennessee Titans, I mean, did they end up hiring John Robinson? I don't know. Marcus Peters had a torn ACL in 2021, and last year he had a career-low 1 interception when he was playing with the Ravens. But he does have 32 career interceptions, which are 26 more than the rest of the Raiders' cornerbacks combined. So that will be an interesting one to watch throughout the year. And then also, I'm looking for a new job that will pay me $88,000 per hour. Like, right. Sure. Kylian Mbappe, he just got a contract offer from Al Hilal, which I believe is in the Saudi Arabia League, of $776 million per year, which breaks down to $88,000 per hour, which is just absolutely outrageous. But that's going to do it for us today. Next time to play the Blast at Bay Point, it's 8:40 in the morning on the Coach James Hell Show. Keep those texts rolling in if you want to play fantasy football. Your name, your email, and that you're available August 26th, 11 a.m.
ESPN Northwest Florida is already your home for the most live and local sports talk. And now we're taking...
Oh, he got all of that one.
The Inside Drive. Ryan Mulvey, middays, 11 to 1 inside the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios. The latest reactions to the biggest stories happening right now.